Stephen, it was so nice of you to make your one phone call from jail when you tried to get your real ID, but without your real ID because you didn't have a real ID. So how do you really get a real ID if you have an expired passport?
So, Stephen, did they arrest you and try to send you to a detention center when you went to get your real ID in New Jersey?
Thankfully, they did not. It went very smooth, and it was a quick 20-minute process from what I thought was going to be like at least an hour-long process, according to everybody I talked to.
I knew it would be quick because when I went and got my regular ID last time, all the people coming in for real IDs you just show your stuff and then they take a new ID and you're so special now.
Yeah, it's definitely not as overwhelming as much as I initially thought it would be. The issue, of course, is, what to bring. What documentation do you bring?
Did you bring your foreskin?
That's all I needed, actually. It's weird. But the confusing part is their website. They say 2 + 1 + 6 = real ID. So you look at that and you're like, oh, I need 9 points or documents to prove that it's me and to get my real ID. But in reality, I only needed 4. What they're saying is you need 2 proofs of address, 1 proof of social security number, and then 6 points worth of primary documentation to prove that you're you.
So what does that count for?
So you need 1 primary form of documentation, which is usually like a passport or a birth certificate or something like that. I was going to use my passport. I pull it out and realize it just expired a few months ago. I'm like, damn. So I ended up using my birth certificate for that. That was 4 points right there. And then you need another 2 points, 1 each, of another primary documentation, which for me was my driver's license and my social security card.
You want to know what I find weird, Stephen?
What?
They'll accept a piece of paper.
I know.
They'll accept a piece of paper that's a birth certificate that has no visual on it. I mean, not that they could tell when you're a fucking baby. Like, hey,
I mean, it
I'm
has
a
like
baby.
the official stamp of the state and all that. But
that can probably be counterfeited pretty damn easy.
Yeah, I think anything can be counterfeited.
It's just that counts higher than something else is insane.
Even the proof of address, I just needed one of my a utility bill from the past 90 days. I just printed it out online, and I could have easily just made a fake address and a utility bill.
Wait, hold on. Look at State of New Jersey, Stephen Eckert needs to be arrested at 123 Wallaby Way. He needs to be arrested. He cheated on his real ID.
Now, I know this all still sounds a little confusing if you haven't actually looked at their website, but what is nice, they do have a module on their website that will walk you through it, and it basically gives you a list of what you specifically need to bring, which in the end, I only needed 4 pieces of documentation to prove that I'm me.
What's crazy is they're not turning people away that don't have real ID. They're not saying they can't fly.
That's what I heard, yeah. I do think it depends on which TSA agent you get, though, but I'm sure they're still turning some people away.
The TSA agents that Jared usually gets,
the worst kind.
Let's just say they don't take too kindly to me.
Every time, man, you get stopped and frisked, and they're always giving you an attitude, and you're like, I don't know, it's just like they look at you and they're like, I'm going to get this guy today.
First off, nowadays I don't get stopped and frisked because I'm going through pre-check. Right?
True.
Because I have pre-check, except the last time I went through pre-check, the woman there, she's like, I'm not going to deal with you. I was like, I was just asking you a question. And she flipped out and was
what
like...
What was your tone?
No, Stephen, my tone was very flat, monotone, straightforward. Like I was like, would you like me to take something out? And she's like, how do you know what I even want to take a look at? I'm like, what? Like, what is your fucking problem? You're like, why are you flipping the fuck out? I said, all I did was ask a question. And then another guy came over and just finished the process real quickly. And he understood that this person snaps on people all the time.
Oh, geez.
And so I was just like, hey, I literally said, hey, would you be careful when you do that? Because I have XYZ in there. And she flipped out.
Yeah.
She's like, do you want me to run everything again? Do you want to take everything out of your bag and run it through the thing? So blah, blah, blah.
Calm down, lady.
It's not like you need to stand there and not say anything back. It makes you feel like if you talk back to a TSA agent in any way that they're going to be like, you can't fly. You can't get through here. And it's a really stupid place to be because when you're just like asking a question and someone just flips out.
Yeah.
It's just like, hey, why can't you take a step back and just talk like a human being. Like when you get up to the TSA thing and you're in line, they're like, no bottles, no water, no food, no it. Yeah, is there water in that? I'm like, I think I heard you say no water. It's an empty fucking bottle, asshole.
Jeez. I mean, I've definitely also on the opposite end, I've experienced like pleasant, fun TSA agents that usually will announce things like that, but almost make it like a game.
Sure.
And joke around about it. But, you know, I'm sure that doesn't last all day. I'm sure at the end of their shift, they're screaming like you just said. Don't you bypass that machine? And they always get annoyed about that too.
Oh, so, well, I don't have to go through that machine unless I'm randomly checked. And what happened the last time that this happened was a woman had to go through the electronic thing twice, the regular magnetometer. And she's like, I was like, okay, you, anyway, go ahead. Or no, she's like, you go first. So I went through, and of course, it picked me randomly instead of her randomly. So then they wanted to put me through the machine. And I'm like, I don't like this machine. I'm like, they gave me shit. So I went through the machine one time, and she's like, it errored. Do it again. I'm like, I just told you I don't like going through the machine, and you're telling me it errored. So it did it 3 fucking times, and that's when I had enough. I'm like, there's something wrong with your machine.
Yeah.
If it's erroring 3 times, stop putting me through it. And she's like, I can't handle this. And I'm like, get someone else over here to pat me down. Because clearly there's a problem with your machine if it errors 3 times. I already don't want to go through this machine because of extra radiation for no fucking reason. And now it's erroring 3 times. So clearly you need to, she's like, could someone recalibrate this? I'm like, you should have thought of that before you started running it, telling me that I'm like, because I'm going to give pushback. If I'm standing there and it's clearly not working, there's no reason it shouldn't work. Anyway, can we get back to your real ID, how the rest of that process went?
I mean, that's basically it. I was nervous going into it in terms of like, what documentation do I need? But the website laid it out for me pretty easily. And I just think, again, it's confusing. When you look at 2 + 1 + 6 = real ID, you're like, I got to bring a lot of forms of documentation. But in the end, you really don't. A lot of them count as 2. Like, again, my ID, my driver's license counted as a primary form of documentation on top of proof of residential address. So I only needed 4 things. The passport counts as 4.
No, it should count as the only one you need.
I know.
Because it was verified by the government. It has an RFID tag and chip in there. That should be all you need.
So the passport and a birth certificate count both as 4. But I needed the birth certificate and more to get my passport. So that should count as everything. But yeah, unfortunately it doesn't. I actually did just renew my passport this past weekend. I had to take my own passport picture, which I haven't done in 10 years. And that's fun. Also, it's $130 to renew your passport. I don't remember it being that expensive.
Thanks, Obama. How's your daughter this week?
Thankfully, she is fine. She had those rough 2 days of croup. I actually saw someone commented on last week's RAWtalk saying that croup can be very serious. And yes, it can be. The first time she had it, this is the second time she had it. The first time she actually woke up and couldn't breathe in the middle of the night, and we had to rush her to the ER, and that was a really scary thing. And that was a much more severe case of croup. This time around, it was a lot more mild, coughing, runny nose, that kind of thing, bark and cough. But she's good now. She still has kind of a lingering cough, but good to go, thankfully.
All right, good.
Yeah.
So next week, Build Expo is on Tuesday, Wednesday. I'm speaking Wednesday, 5 to 6 p.m. If you didn't sign up yet, it is free. If you're going to New York City or you want to show up to New York City, I'm speaking from 5 to 6, the keynote, and they don't call it a keynote, but the speech that is closing out the event. And then there's an after party thing, which I'm obligated to be at, basically. I hate parties. I'm not obligated, but I have to go there because that's where we're going to do the meet and greet and the meet and greet. And if anybody wants me to sign something, I'll be there to do that.
So how's that going to work out? Are you going to be like at a table? Is there going to be a big line? And
I have no idea. Last year there was a big line.
Step and repeat.
No, last year there was or the last time they did it, there was a big line and people just came through and I stayed there and talked to everybody. And so everybody would just come say hi, get a selfie, and then talk and then move on. So that might be what happens this time around. But I will also be going into the ProGrade digital booth. I'm going to stop by there on Tuesday, and I'm going to stop by there on Wednesday as well. I'm not sure exactly what time, so stick around to my social media, my Instagram, so that you can see when I'm going to be making an appearance and staying to hang out in those booths, which will be much easier to talk to me in those booths. So I'll be in ProGrade Digital's booth, and then I'll be speaking from 5 to 6 on Wednesday.
And I will be there Wednesday as well with you. Pretty much the entire
if we
time.
book you a train ticket, I mean, you don't have to be there the whole time. I mean, I don't speak till 5.
Oh, okay. It's up to you. I thought it was going to be a full day.
I mean, you're more than welcome to come. I mean, I would just, for you, come get you up there at a reasonable time.
Yeah.
You know, get there at like lunchtime or 11 o'clock, you know, so it's not all, because I know that it could go a little later with the meet and greet after the thing. So,
I mean, I plan on being there all day. So if I need to be there till 10 o'clock at night, I don't care. I already warned the wife, so she is aware, and we have coverage. We're good to go.
Yeah. And one more thing, there's 3 spots left for the Sunday, July 13th boot camp right here in Philly. If you haven't signed up and you've been waiting to grab a ticket or grab a spot, now is the time to do that. Head on over to bit.ly/July13fro to grab one of those spots. If you're looking to come into the boot camp, any questions, you can email support@fronosphoto.com. And that's the plug right there. So you went to a concert yourself the other night?
Oh, yeah. I didn't plan on it. I planned on going with somebody. I bought a pair of tickets back in January when they announced this concert. It was for a band called Turnover.
Turnover.
I don't think you're familiar with them at all. Our buddy Will Yip actually produced a lot of their albums out of Studio 4, which is here in Conshohocken in Pennsylvania. But their first album, well, second album technically, is like their big album, and it was their 10-year anniversary tour for this album, playing it front to back. It's probably one of my top 5. It's called Peripheral Vision. If you want to listen to a good song off that, listen to the first one, Cutting My Fingers Off. It's one of my top 10 songs, I'd say. But really? I really wanted to see this album live, and I don't really care to see the band live in general, just because I fell off listening to them years ago. I think every release after has just been a flop, in my opinion.
I hate it. I already hate it. I don't hate it. It actually sounds like in quick listen, even with my headphones on, it's almost a war on drugs kind of feeling.
I don't know how to even describe it, but I really love that first album. It's also a good like breakup album. It was when I was going through a breakup, so it's one of those. But yeah, so I wanted to buy tickets. I wanted to buy them immediately because I knew it would sell out, and that's exactly what happened. It sold out.
Because so many people have heard of Turnover. That's pretty good because Jet had a very light crowd last Wednesday.
Yeah, it was at the Fillmore, so a 3,000 cap venue.
Was upstairs open?
Yep, everything was open.
All the balconies, like all the way around?
Everything. It was full.
Are they local?
No, they're Virginia, but they record all their albums locally here.
All right, makes sense.
But yeah, I was Steven Glansberg from Superbad, sitting there in the back by myself eating yogurt, watching the show. But it was fine, whatever. I basically watched their album front to back, and then as soon as they ended that album and started playing more recent stuff, I peaced out. So I was out of there by like 9:30. And I did watch the opener, which was Citizen. I like that band a lot too. Anyway, not as awkward as I thought. Great show. Band sounds incredible live. Check them out. Turnover, Peripheral Vision.
Peripheral Vision.
Yes, exactly.
Anyway, moving on, before we get to the news, the latest Fund a Photographer video has gone live. If anybody has seen it, we or hasn't seen it, we have another kid that came into the studio, very promising sports photographer named Steven, what's his name again?
Christian Gresco.
Yeah, that's right. Christian Gresco. That's right. It slipped my brain, but very promising sports shooter. Just graduated from high school last week.
Well, we actually filmed that last year in July. So almost a full year ago when he was going into his senior year. And we just kind of kept it on the back burner because we had other stuff going on. And we wanted to kind of stagger these Fun to Photographer videos, which we filmed all in like the same day or two, filmed 4 videos and put them out every other month or whatever. And then this one was the last one that we had to go through. And yeah, now he is officially a college student or almost in like a week.
Yeah, so go check it out. But just a little inside baseball for you. There's two boxes on the counter, or sorry, on the table. One had a 400, one had a 300, and the plan was to give him both.
Yeah.
He ended up winning, on the coin flip, getting the 400, and then I showed him what was in the first box, and that was the 300, and I was like, "Do you want this one too?" And he was like, "No," and I was like, "Are you sure?"
Well, there was a lot more that was said in a very awkward kind of conversation in between that we ripped out of that video and just kind of moved on. A little awkward.
I tried. I said it in every way I could without being like, dude, take the fucking lens.
I totally assumed he was going to take it. I mean, why would you say no? But he's like, no, I'm good. We're like, okay, well, that didn't go to plan.
Yeah, I was just like, okay, I mean, that's your choice. I'm not going to push you and be like, you can have them both, because I literally said you can have them both.
Yeah, you kept pushing him. You're like, you sure? They're yours if you want them. Like, just
so
take
whatever,
'em.
whatever. It is what it is. You know, he got his 400. A 300 would have been useful in certain situations, but a 400 is more useful for the sports that he's shooting.
So he was the first one we filmed, by the way, and you bought that custom coin to do the coin flip and all that. Did you plan on doing the rest like that too? I forget.
No.
Okay, it was just him?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I wanted to flip a coin for a 400. It was just something different.
Well, and we were going to title it like flipping a coin for a $10,000 lens and like kind of make a gamey show out of it, and it didn't work.
I don't know that it didn't work. We have no way of knowing whether it would work. That's the problem with YouTube.
No, I mean, he didn't take the second lens.
Yeah, no, he didn't take
There was
the
no
second
point
lens.
in the coin flip at the end of the day.
So we will be continuing on with Fun to Photographer as I encounter people that I'd like to help. There's no way that you can apply for it, just so that you know. So no reason to be like, I have a camera, but I want better stuff. Not going to get my attention there.
I mean, I think you picked perfect candidates for the Fun to Photographer, at least those 4 people that we did so far. They all were great photographers, but just needed that extra little help gear-wise.
I was just sitting here going, have I picked a woman or a female?
Yeah.
And the truth is, yeah, I've sent stuff like that.
Hillary.
Oh, Hillary. Yeah, we never made a video for that.
I have that on the back burner still to potentially make a video. You have basically like a Go3 POV angle of giving her all the gear. And so one day that'll come out, I'm sure.
Yeah, there's just, I don't make a video every time I give somebody something.
No.
So there's probably 10 more times that I've put kits together and just handed them to people to help them out, and it's not always publicized. That's just not how it's going to be every time.
Well, we weren't going to film really any of these videos, and then it was kind of like, I think we should. Why not? They're really nice, heartwarming videos, and nobody knows that you do this kind of like charity work. It shows like a different side of you that people aren't used to, and I really think that's just such a great thing for the channel.
Yeah, because I'm such an asshole in everyday life that people don't realize the other stuff.
You're Jared Polin. Love him or hate him. You're
fuck you.
But I think this definitely shows a different side of you, and it's just such a feel-good video, and that's what I really like about these videos. And I try to make them as like emotional and heartfelt as possible in the editing, and usually it works out well. I think the Cayenne one was still probably the best.
Yeah, I obviously wish that they would get hundreds of thousands of views, and they don't. Nothing does.
Most of them did, though. I mean, the other ones have, I think 2 of them got 100K, and then the Cayenne one has about 70.
And this one has died on the vine after a day.
Weird.
It's just like
Shot up.
It like shot up. It gets a lot of attention, but then it didn't resonate outside of the core audience.
I feel like YouTube has tweaked something with their algorithm, where before we used to get a few days of a video growing and getting more views and more views. And now I feel like after that initial shot, it just kind of dies after that second day. I mean, even with fixes, we've seen it. It's just that you get that one big bump and then it just like stops recommending it.
Yeah, this is just the nature of the internet and YouTube, is that it always tweaks, and I don't go and chase whatever changes they have. That's just not where I'm living right now, or ever. Never going to chase. It's been 15 years of this. It's going to continue on, and there's ebbs and flows and growth, and it's across the board that we've seen it. So
also with the Fun to Photographer videos, towards the end, we kind of adjusted some of the editing. So with the Cayenne and Christian one, we actually included photos that they took with the new gear that they got. And I really like that kind of wrap and outro. So I feel like we have a nice template for future Fun to Photographer videos now that we know how we want them to look.
Yep. All right, moving on. Let's get to the news. This is the news preview portion where I give you a quick highlight of what we're going to talk about before we break them down individually, these news stories. So we've got Insta360 goes public in China, making the founder a multi-billionaire, at least on paper. Apple holds the WWDC 2025, which had some camera-related announcements. Potato Jet's second tripod with small rig is announced. I talk about that because I've been using the first one extensively. Nikon updates the Z8 with firmware 3.0 out of nowhere, and finally, Fuji releases the X-E5, which seems like we've seen this story before. And let's start off with Insta360. So Insta360 went public in China, raising $270 million and making its founder a multi-billionaire. And I believe they only started 10 years ago in China. Now, keep in mind, this is China. So you may be a billionaire in China for now until you say something or they decide that you're getting too powerful or too big and they either disappear you or reprimand you like they've done with Jack Ma, because you never hear from Jack Ma anymore, the founder of Alibaba, because Alibaba, when you start talking against the government or you start talking about things that you think should be done, they come back and say, hey,
Goodbye.
They say, hey, you're arrested for bullshit, and then you lose all your money. And that's not to say that stuff doesn't happen in the United States, because as we see, a lot of stuff can happen in the United States. But I found it pretty interesting that, they're probably valued at a shit ton more than GoPro right now.
I don't even hear about GoPro anymore, like at all. When's the last time they released like a new product? Or am I just completely ignoring them at this point?
I don't know, but GoPro's stock is at 85 cents.
What was it at its highest?
$90?
I mean, GoPro was like an everyday household name at a certain point,
$86.97. I'm seeing in October of 2014. And then it's just dropped. It was at 11. And then in 2020 at the pandemic, it dipped to $4 or $3.81. It went up back to 12 in February of 2021, roughly. And then it's just, how can it survive when its shares are 85 cents?
I've said it time and time again, too, with Insta360, and not just because they have done sponsored content with us, but I love their cameras. I really do. I think they're changing the game with especially their 360 cameras, and their action cameras are such great value when you compare them to something like a GoPro or, DJI has the upper hand with some of their specs on some of their like action cameras, but for the most part, I think Insta360 does a great job. We use Insta360 stuff for almost every video we do. The Sigma BF video that I'm working on right now, for example, is probably 80% Insta360 Go 3S footage because it's your POV angle of you shooting with the BF.
Yep, it is. By the way, is the BF upstairs? Because I have to pack it up.
Yeah, it should be on the counter upstairs.
Yeah, because I have to pack that up and I have to send that back to those guys. But like you said, it doesn't hurt that they came along and they like to do product showcases. But that's how they've grown as a business. They've made people aware of their products, and their products don't suck. Because if the products did suck, we're not doing a product showcase on it, because that is straight up shilling.
I remember the first time we did the first product showcase, I think it was the X3, if I recall. That was one of the first times I really dove deep into like a 360 camera, and I realized the potential of what you can do as an editor, like just how much flexibility you have with that footage. That's when I fell in love with 360 footage, because I remember back in the day when you were messing with that random Nikon 360 camera for a minute.
Mission 360.
And we would just upload it to YouTube and it'd be like a 360 tour of the studio and stuff. And that was cool, but not realizing like it wasn't 8K yet, where now when you have 8K, you literally can punch in, make different multiple angles in 4K and really get a decent image. Unless low light. Low light, they're pretty bad at.
So we'll continue to work with them. They're going to continue to evolve. I think they need to evolve beyond Insta360, the name.
They need to rebrand. I've said that since they started coming out with all the other different types of cameras, like their action cameras and their POV cameras. Because when you hear Insta360, what do you think? 360 cameras. Unless
you rebrand and stay Insta360 and more, or Insta360. Yeah, but then you have
Instagram,
but maybe Insta360 could also mean that we cover cameras 360 degrees. Like we have cameras that do less, we have cameras that do 360, and so that it's like we cover the entire range of cameras.
Sure, I could see that, but my mind goes right to 360 cameras. But I guess I'm pretty deep in that camera world, so
100%. But they raised a lot of money, and looks like they will keep on trucking. Moving on, Apple held their WWDC event this week, and I, for once, did not watch it.
Really?
Yeah, no, because every time you watch it, it's just a waste of like an hour or two because it's like, I just want to watch it at 2x speed or 3x speed, or just when someone does the everything you need to know about WWDC 2025 in 5 minutes, then I'll watch that.
I always questioned why you would take the time to watch like an hour and a half presentation when you could just watch a quick recap after the fact and find out what they released, you know? But you always loved watching that stuff. I feel like that was like your Super Bowl, you know?
You used to love watching it because they used to do stuff.
And one more thing.
There's like nothing that they do at this point. I mean, I don't want to talk about all the stuff that they did come up with in terms of Tahoe, which is going to be the next operating system, or the liquid glass, which is how the new look they're doing, which I actually don't like because it looks like it's going to be harder to read the text depending on the color or whatever is underneath this clear liquid text.
I'm sure they have some kind of accessibility mode that you can adjust all that though.
Oh, you can just
like
leave
their
it
current
off.
Phones. Yeah.
You could, and they also have like a total glass mode where it gets rid of all the color. And it's just like all you hear about is that, well, Android had that 2 years ago. Android had that 4 years ago.
I've said it forever, man, because I used to be one of those guys that jailbroke their iPhones from the beginning when Cydia was still a thing, the Cydia store, and I forget the other brand. But all the features I would unlock, I would jailbreak, would be what Android already had.
Yeah.
And I always question, like, why isn't Apple doing this? You can clearly do it because I have a jailbroken phone that can do it, but why don't they bring it to their OS? And then they were always behind.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that's cool, what that they announced, I know this isn't getting into the photo part of it yet, though, is that live translation, which I'm sure Android has, but where you could have a conversation in English and someone in Italy could get the conversion of it spoken to them in Italian.
That, and I do like the automatic spam calling where it doesn't even ring your phone. It leaves you like a voicemail, transcribed voicemail text.
Yeah, I heard that was an Android thing as well for a while.
Exactly. All this stuff has always been around. They're just stealing it.
It's welcome. It's a welcome thing to have it where if it's spam, like it says, "Hi, who are you?" And then you can see the transcript and decide to pick it up or not. But in the photo terms, it looks like they've redesigned the camera app where they've gotten rid of most of the stuff that you can access quickly. If you want to take more control, and they basically are in favor of less control because most people, they know from how they interact with the camera that they don't use it to the extent that most people use, that photographers would need to use it.
I have one of the quick shortcuts on my home screen or whatever that opens up the Lightroom module, the camera app, and I can quickly open it, shoot in manual, shoot raw, all of that. And I will tell you, I never use it. I probably use it 0.01% of the time that I take photos. 99% I'm in portrait mode, shooting JPEG, and maybe tweaking it in Lightroom with a preset or something. But for the most part, I'm just taking snapshots of my daughter. Yeah,
and the one hidden feature that wasn't hidden, but it was put up on a slide amongst other slides, was this option where your camera or Apple will tell you that your lens is dirty or smudged. It's like smudge detection. It's like, wait, you don't know that your camera is smudged when you're looking through it because it's right in front of your face?
And there's a lack of contrast. It's just a flat, washed out image because it has a giant thumbprint on the front of it.
Yeah, it's just like I went and made a video this morning and it was hazy in the light. I was like, well, I guess I need to clean my camera because I could tell that it was hazy.
I almost always double check my lenses before I take any pictures for the most part, unless it's just a quick picture of something I need at the hardware store or something like that. I usually will quickly wipe them off every single day because they're always smudged.
Quick side note. I was at the bowling alley yesterday for bowling, and I guess there was this photographer doing some sort of engagement shoot or something with a couple, and I filmed some of it.
They must really like bowling, huh?
I don't know. I filmed some of it because I could not stand how this girl was shooting. With a flash, with a Gary
like
Fong
typical
dome.
Jared.
Yeah, but I'm not going to post it because people would rip me to shreds, or maybe they wouldn't. But it's just like, what do you think she was doing?
Direct flash with the Gary Fong dome?
But no, that's not the thing that gets me the most. What's the thing that gets me the most?
Shooting with her monitor and not the EVF.
Yeah, the whole time, right in front of her face. Oh, click, 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 click. That is all these people do today. It's all these people do. And it's motor drive. And you see it when they post on Instagram as if they think they're like, everybody wants to be me, right? They want to be someone who's like an actual influencer. So they film every one of their shoots sort of with like on their body.
Yeah.
And then you see the pictures they're taking, and you're like, well, you're cutting the foot off with the way you're holding the camera. So you're trying to capture the behind the scenes, but you're not capturing the actual scene. And then you spend all this time in post because you're now like, oh, I'll use AI to correct this. I'll use all the different softwares. And then, oh, I have megapixel, blah, 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 instead of focusing on, and you know, anytime I teach someone the proper way to do it, Stephen, and they do it, they're like, wow, you're right.
I think those people end up having thousands and thousands of images when it comes time for post, and they end up only delivering a handful of those because, you know, like you said, they're just rapid firing like 6 or 7 in a row, and they hope to get that one shot, but they're not. If they just shot with intent with the viewfinder, you would end up with a fraction of those images, and they're most likely going to be all keepers.
Why do you think when we're at the boot camp, the first thing that people have to do during the day is get out of motor drive? We're on single shot. We are on single shot all day because I want you to shoot with intent. I know you can motor drive, but I want you to take the moment and capture it and think about it. Just think about it when you're shooting and not just spray and pray like this girl was doing last night at the bowling alley, hoping to get the one shot that they'll pick because they're rushing through everything because they just were like, and
coming from an event photography background, I do totally understand almost spraying and praying when you're doing event coverage, like a wedding or a concert or something that's so fast paced. You want to make sure you got that one smile, that one look, that one singer with the microphone not directly covering his whole face or whatever it may be. Like there's a lot more pictures you need to take to capture that right moment. But when you're in a slow-paced environment like an engagement shoot and you're directing, you should be able to shoot with intent, make them hold their pose, that kind of stuff.
It's all like this, holding the camera out, holding the camera down. Like, you just put your eye up to the fucking viewfinder. I can send you the video because I filmed it and I was cursing at the same time.
I believe it. I also have that Gary Fong dome, by the way, still somewhere in my bag. I haven't used it in probably 15 years. But that was all the rage back in the day.
It was the rage, and Gary Fong made lots of money.
It's literally just a milk carton on top of your flash that just wildly spreads, you know, the flash everywhere in the room.
It's more like a diaphragm for women.
I'd rather just bounce the flash for the most part.
Yep. So anyway, back to the WWDC. Not much was announced. I mean, yes, software updates, and it seems like they went the Vision Pro route for making everything this glass look. Whatever. I don't really care.
I saw that Canon, I think, is now going to support the Vision Pro protocol with their VR lenses now or something. So I guess you can now make like VR content with Canon cameras for the Vision Pro.
No, you can. Well, yes, you could do that. But before it was proprietary to Vision Pro. Now you can use Insta360 and you can use, which one did you just mention?
That Canon like 5.2 millimeter VR lens.
So basically you can upload those videos directly into the headsets now and view them natively without having to do all the extra work.
Why wasn't that a thing from the beginning?
Hey, I don't know, but I haven't used my Vision Pro in a year. Like I put it on to update it to 3.0 and every time I go in it, I'm like, this is amazing because it is amazing when you go in it. I updated it recently, and the one thing I haven't tried is the wraparound screen where it takes your big screen and puts it in front of you.
What about when you're on planes? Do you not take it?
The problem is the size. And when I'm restricted to how much I can take with me, if it's a smaller plane, I'm filling my bag with clothes or food or protein or camera gear, and there's no space for this cube. And I have the small carry case that I got from a third-party company, but it still takes up a lot of space. And so I end up not taking, especially if it's like an hour and a half flight or less, even 2 hours. Look, I don't care if it's a 6-hour flight. I am one of these people. I don't want free internet on airplanes now. I don't want the fastest internet. I don't want internet at all. I want to be disconnected from the world on an airplane. I don't even want to watch my iPad. I don't even take it anymore. I don't want to watch videos or movies. I will listen to books. I will fall asleep. I will consume podcasts, but I, for whatever reason, just don't want to watch shit on airplanes anymore.
See, I am actually quite the opposite, where that is my only like free time that I actually have to watch something for the most part. I mean, I have a very limited amount of free time these days with my daughter running around. And by the time she's in bed, it's like, I'm so tired, I'm going to bed too. I actually look forward to like a really long flight so I can catch up on a movie or a couple series or something like that, because I usually don't have that kind of time these days.
Yeah. Moving on to Potato Jet and his thing with small rig, they have the Tribex SE that they just released, which is a second version of their plunger type tripod where you pull on a handle and all three legs extend on their own and will conform to the ground that you're on. And once I got past the quirks of how to use this thing, it's become indispensable for when I'm shooting with my 4x5 because it helps me so much.
I've seen you in real time using that tripod, and it's I didn't realize how quick some of these golf photo shoots happen
with my 4x5.
With your 4x5, I mean, you're from setting up the tripod to taking the final photo all within a minute, maybe less, right?
Could be around a minute.
It is
could be 34.
Very quick process. And if you had a normal tripod, you would be slowed down significantly. Now that you have this new tripod, you're just like, boom, done. The 4x5 is ready to shoot within seconds.
Yeah, that's what I dealt with all last year when it came to baseball. And I had to decide before a player came over, am I going to go low or high here? And then I'd be like, well, let me go high, but I was already low. So I now had to independently do 3 stanchions on each leg. Mm-hmm. That's 9 fucking screws that I got to screw in and whatever to get it back to the full height, all while I'm holding it at an awkward angle and the heavy camera's on top. With the Tribex, this is not a plug. They're not paying me for this. I just personally use it, and I will tell you that I've needed a replacement of the original Tribex because I've had some manufacturing issues with mine. One of the handle pieces fell off. I put it back on with gaff tape. There's a jiggle in the middle of the camera from the stanchion. It jiggles.
That's weird. I tried to look into that, and I'm like, I don't know what's going on here.
I couldn't figure it out myself, so they sent me a newer one that's later in manufacturing, and they keep getting it better. The thing about the Tribex SE, I thought they're like, it's smaller. I'm like, well, it's 3.6 kilos. They didn't even give us pounds versus 3.7 kilos. So it's in essence the same weight, but takes on a different types of legs. Like I didn't like that the original one had these plastic feet, more video-centric feet, but when you took the feet off, there were spikes. I don't want spikes. I want the round rubber.
Yeah, a lot of the tripods have that, the stupid spikes, but I've never, ever found myself using spikes, even when I'm on dirt or whatever, like an uneven surface.
Yeah, I use the rubber. So the new one looks like it has the rubber. It looks like they've made some updates. Now, I reached out to Potato Jet, and he says that it is they're in prototype, so it's not out yet. So I'm waiting for that so that I can do a full review of it, which I don't expect to get a lot of views, but it is
super unique.
There's form and function, right? And they extended the warranty on the first one. So there's like a 2-year warranty. There's a 4-year warranty on the new one, which means they understand that there's issues that they have to get better. But the premise of the entire thing with the hand grip, and I will tell anybody that gets it, when I first got it, I'm like, it like drops an extra 5 inches after you release the grip. Well, it is solved real easily. You press the grip, you hold onto the tripod with your one hand, you release the grip, you wait a second, then you can put it down. It just has to be, those hydraulics have to go into place. Once you get that, everything about it not everything about, I took their head off. It came with way too big of a head because I don't shoot video, and I put my own ball head on top because that was better for me.
There definitely is a learning curve for sure, because I think when you initially got it, you seemed like you hated it at first. But then
because it kept dropping.
Once you understood how it worked and how to properly work it, I guess, that's when you kind of fell in love with it for the most part. Now, I do see, you said 4-year warranty for the new one. I see 2-year warranty, it says.
Is that for the old one or the new one?
The new SE. That's the new one, right?
They put 2 years on it?
It says 2 years, and expected shipping date is July 15th, so next month.
All right, well, 2 years is better than 0 years.
Is there one you can buy without a head? Can you just buy the sticks?
No. So I sent a message to Potato Jet because this one is $400, which $400 with the video head is
not
pretty
that
damn
bad.
reasonable.
Yeah.
Now, what I think, even though it's lighter, I don't think it's fully carbon fiber, but I guess that doesn't matter if it's still technically lighter because I'm used to carrying the heavy one around. And there has to be a stability to it.
It looks like it's about 8 pounds, but I believe that's with the head that it currently has. So it's probably a little lighter for you with just the ball head.
Yeah, so from a pricing standpoint, the SE is going to be $400. The original Tribex came out at $800 and has since dropped to $500 because it just was way too expensive for anybody in their right mind to purchase.
So is this replacing the original one, or is this going to sell alongside? Is this
I don't have the answers to that.
Is it a smaller payload or anything? Like,
Well, yes, it's smaller because it can only hold 23 pounds versus 55, but unless you're using the massive built-out cameras, you're not surpassing 23 pounds.
See, this says tripod load capacity is 33 pounds.
Okay, well, maybe I read the wrong stuff because I have 23 pounds.
Like we say, your eyes.
No, your eyes.
Your
So anyway,
eyes.
that's that. I'm waiting to get that new one. I've been using it in the real world and putting it through its paces, and I did have those issues, and I will talk about that when we do the video because I will show how I had to tape the thing on because I could feel. I'm like, this doesn't seem right that these screws come out, and then the screws came out, and that was of the handle thing.
So we're going to review, I assume, the new one and then talk about like using the original one.
Well, if it's not replacing the original, then they're both going in there. So there's two options.
Yeah.
I just have to find out more information.
I assume it's replacing it, but
I don't think it is. I think the SE stands for less.
Special edition.
Yeah, I don't know. All right, moving on. We're going to give you this one, Steven. Nikon Z8 3.0 firmware.
So yes, Nikon has released firmware 3.0.0. Make sure you add that extra 0 at the end for the Z8. So it brings the ZF, the Z6 III, and Z9 features in their latest firmware updates to the Z8, along with a couple new features. So they now have that C15 mode from the Z9. It's now in the Z8. It offers JPEG Fine instead of basic JPEG in those high frame rate modes. So C15, C30, C60, C120. Also has a new in-camera digital focus limiter. So what you're used to tweaking on like the lens itself, you can now do that in the camera. Flexible color picture controls have now been brought to the Z8 from the latest Z cameras. So you can make that custom preset. You can make that custom recipe that they call it in NX Studio and throw that in your Z8. I still am curious, do Nikon users really use this or not? Is this just a marketing ploy by Nikon, or is it a big thing in the community? Subject detection mode is now available with manual focus lenses, which is pretty cool if you're a vintage like lens shooter or something. Also, you can now use subject detection mode with high-res zoom video mode, which I really like because it gives you that like parfocal camcorder zoom, the high-res zoom feature when you're shooting video, which I do a lot for, I did it in like the Z6 III preview video when I shot with that camera for the first time, but you're limited to like one focus mode. I can't recall, and I think all the subject modes get wiped out. Now you can use subject detection mode and autofocus when you're doing that high-res zoom. And the big thing here, pixel shift can now be used with focus stacking and exposure bracketing. I just question how long will it take if you're combining picture shift with focus stacking? So for example, if you want to take a macro picture and you're combining this focus stacking, it's literally going to be taking 32 pictures per pixel shift, then 14 of those 180 megapixel pixel shift images are focus stacked, which then create one giant image. I mean, that's got to be such a long process for the camera to do that.
Well, I mean, they have a fast sensor. It's possible. I mean, it already shoots at 20 frames a second. It's possible they could do it in one fell swoop, depending on how fast the shutter speed is and what the bracket is. I mean, it is possible. It's just all happening, quickly.
I bet you it's a couple minutes, if I had to guess.
I don't know. I'm not updating my software. But you know why I'm not updating my software? Because it's not out yet.
And they also now have maximum aperture live view. So if you're at f8 shooting stop down, you will get the actual preview open wide up at like 1.2 or something.
Do you know why I like shooting at f8, Steven? Because it's the sweetest spot of the lens. Dumbest statement ever.
I mean, it's true though, but moving on. Canon has had this, by the way, forever. And I thought other brands had this, but I guess Nikon didn't. So I think Canon by default has this mode, which I kind of like, but also don't like. So I always see a 1.2 preview in the EVF, but then when I'm actually shooting stop down and take the picture, it shoots top down. You can change that in the Canon, and I guess now you can in the Nikon. So better view assist in N-Log. It matches their Rec 709 LUT better, and I think it's better with the red LUTs too. Canon needs this because I've always felt that shooting with their view assist in C-Log 3 or C-Log 2, it never looks like their actual Rec 709 LUT after the fact. It always looks real washed out on the screen. So apparently this won't look as washed out when you're viewing footage in N-Log. Now, I don't know why they haven't added RAW pre-capture at this point. I think a lot of Nikon fans really want that added. Also, like open gate for video. Nikon's pretty big with video these days, especially with the Red acquisition. I don't know why they're not adding features like this that people are really asking for.
Well, just so that they can come out with firmware 4.0 and people will be like, this is great.
I think they're on 5.0 for the Z9.
Right? Yeah. And Canon on the like R3 got to like 1.4.
Yeah, well, I will say Nikon has been doing a great job with these firmware updates where they're actually adding brand new features. I still question why they're not adding like really big features like this RAW pre-capture, open gate, that kind of stuff. But, you know, it's great that they're still keeping these cameras up to date, especially the Z8. The Z8 is such a great value for $3,500 now on sale. You can't beat it. I mean, you really can't in that price point. Now, I do question, will the Z9 get this update as well? Because some of these new features the Z9 does not have. And I'm surprised they didn't come to the Z9 first and then trickle down.
Yeah, they're just still pissing off the Z9 shooters when with more Z8 love.
And back to Canon, where's the firmware updates for the R5 II or the R1? They've been out for almost a year now at this point, and we've had no significant updates, minus a couple minor, 0.02 bug fix.
They're
updates.
so good that they don't need updates, Steven.
I mean, we still need that like quick pre-capture button option. There's definitely a long list of things that I could add to an R5 II.
Yeah, that we talked about.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what else? Is that it for the Z8?
So there's other minor things, but I'm not going to bring up every single little thing. They're the big ones. Again, they're kind of focusing on that new pixel shift mode, how it can be combined with focus stacking.
No one uses that.
And exposure bracketing. I don't think many people use it.
No one uses that.
Yeah.
Let's put that to rest. It's not even available. They didn't tell us when it's coming out. They just announced it, which is kind of weird. Usually it's like, hey, it's available. Go use it.
Yeah, their email simply says firmware version 3.0 will be available to download for free in the near future. That's it. Near future. No date, nothing.
And the last story that we want to talk about is the Fuji X-E5. Steven, you have all that stuff pulled up, or you want me to drive this one?
Yeah, I can run through some quick top-level specs. It's now the X-E5, the successor to the X-E4, obviously. It's the X100-6 in an interchangeable lens rangefinder style body for the most part. Now, X-E bodies were always like smaller, more stripped down. They were more inexpensive kind of Fuji cameras. They kind of went the opposite route here, where they gave it almost everything, and they're bumping the price up as well, which is... We'll get to that in a minute. The price is pretty substantial for this camera. Now, like I said, X100-6 in this body. It's the same 40 megapixel APS-C sensor as the X100-6, also the X-T50, also the X-T5. It has the IBIS just like those cameras too. And body-wise, it has a similar dial layout as the X100. It's got the lever in the front, the quick menu, the joystick. Now, something new to this camera, which I do find pretty cool, is the film simulation command dial.
Stupid.
I knew you would say that. It has a little window with 3 customizable film simulations that you can tweak and save as presets yourself. Now you
knock.
Who's there?
Fucking stupid. Stupid dial. That's who's there.
Good one. You could do this, by the way, in older Fujis. You can kind of like cheat the system, and you can add like saved custom settings, saved film simulations for the most part to your Q menu with a custom button. But this is much easier. I don't know why it took them this long to do something like this. It's got the same flip out screen that you're used to with the XE series. Also has the retro inspired EVF. However, it doesn't have the hybrid EVF like the X100. I don't ever use it anyway. I just stick to the EVF the entire time, so I don't think that's a big deal. Basically the same video features as the X100-6. It's got a 6.2K 30p. I wouldn't really recommend shooting video with cameras like this. And it's available as a kit with a a brand new 23mm 2.8 pancake lens. So you do lose about a stop if you compare it to something like the built-in X100 23mm f2 lens. The big thing here, like I said in the beginning, is the price. It is $16.99 or $18.99 with that kit pancake lens. And that's about double what the X-E4 came in at, which was, I think, $850 3-4 years ago.
I wonder how much tariffs have played a role in this, because this is definitely a China-made camera.
I think, who was it? Richard from DP Review. I believe he said in Europe it's selling for $300 less than the American version. So there's your answer. $300 roughly more, but it's still significantly more even without that.
Yeah. So I just want to pull some quotes from Fuji's press release. Fuji says the X-E5 is a masterstroke of elegant design, delivering the perfect balance between form and function. And it blends our 5th-generation digital imaging technology with soulful touches of classic design, creating a camera that brings even seasoned users a new way to immerse themselves in our subculture of film simulations. And like I said in Photo News Fix, which might not be out by the time this comes out, you can't spell subculture without there's no N, without
Jesus.
Culture. I mean cult. I meant to say cult. Speaking of my fix, did you catch a load of my the person who called?
What'd you say?
Catch a load of who called during the Fuji story?
Yeah, wasn't it your girl?
Yeah, she called. And I questioned, Greta, why
anything in the news with her lately, by the way?
I don't know, but I questioned why she was calling, because I'm like, didn't you throw your phone overboard?
Oh, Jesus.
When you did you see the video of that?
Yes.
They're such hypocrites. I'm not going to go too deep, Steven. I know you don't want me to go deep into this. Well, most people don't. But just like watching video of these guys pre-planning, pre-filming all of this stuff, and then being like, phones over, but they're like, okay, so when the evil army, the evil empire comes and gets us, everybody throw your phones overboard. It's just so stupid. Just so stupid.
Back to the Fuji story.
Yeah, what's that have to do with Greta, Steven?
Exactly.
Yeah, so a lot of this press release that they put out starts off talking about how for the first time ever, we have a single piece of aluminum, molded piece of aluminum on the top of the camera. It's like, cool. That's a great selling point. And your big selling point for this camera is it's an X100 with an interchangeable lens and a film simulation dial. I think the film simulation dial is stupid. I think people that shoot film simulations are stupid. And if you're one of those people, I am calling you stupid.
I do.
I'm not calling you. I'm like, you're not stupid if you shoot RAW and the film simulation, because after the fact you can tweak and change it. And I get people like, I want to slow down and I don't want to have to worry about editing later. Well, these companies market this shit as, well, it's a great everyday camera. Well, every camera's a great everyday camera, right? Like, I don't want a secondary camera taken in place as my main. But look, what could you buy for $1,700?
So that's the big question. I'm kind of on board with, like, I might as well just go full frame at that point if I'm spending that kind of money. Like, why not get a Nikon ZF? I think that's what, $1,800. It's retro designed. It's got a full frame sensor. It's pretty decked out for $1,800. Sony A7C II, what's that? $2,200. You can get even more stripped down versions for much less, like a Canon R8, a Lumix S9. There's a lot of options.
Canon R8, $1,300. Canon
so
R8,
cheap.
when you add a, say, 28 to 70 2.8, you're still under $2,000.
Yeah, but I also think the X-E5 you're buying more for the look than the actual capability of the camera.
I get it, but you're spending all this money for a crop sensor. When Fuji talks about how amazing their medium format sensor is and how much better it is than full frame, well, doesn't that just negate your whole reason for using the crop sensor all the time?
My thing, when I bought the X100 my secondary camera, if you want to call it that, I didn't want to have to change lenses. I wanted to just pick it up real quick, take some snapshots, and call it a day. And that's basically what I use that camera for. And then I'll bust out an R5 II if I'm taking something more serious, like Hannah's birthday photos or something like that, something more memorable. But I also shoot RAW plus JPEG. And if I really have a good picture that I took with the X100VI, I will bring it into Lightroom, do a full edit, all of that stuff. I just want to pick it up and take pictures. Like, I don't want to have to think about changing lenses and doing the whole photography thing personally.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
But my point is, when you do now have that interchangeable lens capability, I'd rather than use that money towards a true primary camera and get something like an A7C II, Nikon ZF, whatever it may be. That offers a little more, like that full frame sensor, higher frame rate, all that kind of stuff, better autofocusing.
It just feels like Fuji is going down this rabbit hole of, we're running out of things to do. Let's just keep talking about design and let's rehash everything into the same camera or into a new camera, but we already have it, and then let's charge more money because people like our aesthetic, and I guess people do buy it.
Well, the question is now, which do you buy if you want that retro aesthetic? Because now you have the X100VI for $1,600, the X-T50, which is like $1,300, and then the X-E5, which is $1,700, all very close to each other in terms of price, and at this point, all look the same and kind of offer the same features, sensor, all that kind of stuff. So it's getting to the point where it's like, they offer too many of the same thing in similar categories, and I think they need to differentiate themselves like they did in the past. Like I said, the XE series was always like that stripped down, more affordable Fuji, and now it's just an X100VI with an interchangeable lens capability. And by the way, the X100VI, you have the built-in 4-stop ND. It's truly weather sealed. It's got an f2 lens. It has the hybrid optical EVF. It's cheaper. I mean, it's got a lot of stuff that outweighs this camera too, just again, not that interchangeable lens option. And I think it looks sexier.
I don't care about sexy looking cameras. Do you know why, Steven? Because any camera in my hands becomes sexy because of me. Just like when I walk into a venue and they're like, no professional cameras. And I'm like, you might as well take my eyes because I'm a fucking professional. My eyes are professional. You hand me a box with a hole in it, I'm going to use it as a professional.
I'm sexy and I know it. Boom, 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 boom. That is your theme song when you walk into somewhere.
Well, we can go back even further and go to Right Said Fred. I'm too sexy for my shirt. Too sexy for my shirt.
I didn't realize that was the name.
Shirt's going to leave me. And I'm too sexy for this hat. Too sexy for this hat. Too sexy for this hat. I don't know the words. And then I had the Spanish version. So I had Right Said Fred cassette tape. On one side, on A, it was English. And on the second side, it had I'm Too Sexy in Spanish.
Wow, that's funny.
I'm a model, you know what I mean. And I do my little turn on the bailo. Donde bailo. I don't even remember. Let's see. Right Said Fred, let's say
You sound just like them.
Sexy Spanish edition. Oh my God. Yeah. Right Said Fred, I'm Too Sexy Spanish version, 1991. Soy ton sexy mi amor, tan que mi va abonde more. Soy más sexy con miña, más sexy con sexy totos. Fuck, I don't know these words. Mientras vale contando. Hey, wait, what's that at the door? Is that ice? No, I'm a citizen. Go away.
Oh, jeez.
Go away.
Too soon, Jared. Too soon.
Well, I'm just sending them home. It's Right Said Fred. His name was Right Said Fred. I'm sure he had other hits. Not.
The group was named after the novelty song Right Said Fred, which was a hit single for singer and actor Bernard Cribbins in 1962. Fun fact of the day.
Well, the fun fact of the day is he drives a Subaru. Right Said Fred was a totally out dude. I don't think he was out in, say, 1991, or he might have been, but that wasn't how, people saw it in 91. He did go on to have a TV show on one of the channels more recently. But yeah, no, he's a gay dude.
It's not obvious?
No. Well, if you Google Right Said Fred and you look at the photo of Right Said Fred, we are not COVID deniers. Oh, but living hermits is whatever. That's what the photo comes up with. But yes, I mean, it's like saying that Judas Priest wearing all the leather and all the spikes and all the like gimp stuff, and people like didn't realize that he was gay either. But he drives a Subaru.
How about the Village People?
They can just go sing at Trump campaigns, which makes absolutely no sense. It makes absolutely no sense to me at all.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. Look at me, Steven. Look, Steven, what am I doing?
The Trump dance.
The Trump dance, except it looks like he's jerking off two cocks, one on the left and one on the right.
Jesus.
It looks like he's stroking them.
I mean, it's the Jared dance too.
Well, that is on
awkward
purpose.
Jared dance.
I'm always doing double facials for myself. I might do that on stage at Build next week.
I'm sure B&H will love that.
Yo, I wonder if they're going to be upset about cursing.
Didn't you curse last year?
Yeah, I cursed. And I invited my brother and sister-in-law and my dad and my niece and nephew who are 10, and I want them to sit in the front row.
But if you curse, I think it's probably fine. Dropping F-bombs might be one thing. I don't know.
It literally starts off with me saying fuck. Like literally, the first 6 words are fuck,
It's
fuck,
called
fuck,
Jared
fuck.
Polin Uncensored too, so I would think it's uncensored. Correct?
Do you know what movie starts off with like 4 fucks and that's it?
No.
4 Weddings and a Funeral.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
Oh my God, that is a funny movie. First lines of 4 Weddings and a Funeral.
Oh, Hugh Grant.
Oh yeah, it is a tremendous movie. So anyway, before we wrap this up, what are you working on this week in Fro videos?
So we've got the Sigma BF review. That's a good 30-minute long form review of using this camera in the real world at 4 or 5 different events. I mean, you really took this thing around and used it. What I like, you used it as a real camera, quote unquote, like used it shooting sports. That video, we've got the GFX 100 RF review that we just filmed that Dan should be starting probably Monday, if I had to guess. And then we are almost pretty much caught up on our backlog of videos at this point, which is good. We have the audiobook coming out, 5 hours for book 2. I don't know when you want to put that out, but I assume as soon as possible.
As soon as it's ready. The audio can go up whenever the audio is ready. As soon as the audio is ready, it's going up here, and anybody can listen to it for book 2.
Yeah, the audio will pretty much be ready when the video is ready because I have to edit the audio for the video. But it is a very long audiobook that will pair perfectly with book 2.
Yes. And I'm working on this 11 minutes of chaos video, which is something about my 4x5 project, where there's like literally 11 minutes of me running around trying to get Rory McIlroy signing autographs. And you want to talk about what I was able to do in 11 minutes with like the 6 pic. I have to go back and see how many pictures I actually took, because I might, if some were really, really bad, I might not have scanned them, but I think I scanned everything. So it's like 6 pictures in 11 minutes, but there's so many. When you're watching it, I'm like, I get my focus. I start winding. I start to put the thing in and he moves. I literally have to pull the thing out without even shooting a picture, rewind the fucking shutter, and then restart the process. There's a lot of that happens when you're trying to capture action with a camera like that.
He, by the way, is in the new Happy Gilmore 2 movie.
When's that come out?
July 25th, I think. The day after my birthday. And that's the only reason I know that.
Great. Good for you.
But that actually looks pretty good. The trailer, I just hope it doesn't have all of the funny moments. And
that's why I stopped watching the trailer, because I'm like, that's funny.
It looks pretty good. Yeah, we'll see. I kind of am expecting the worst because Adam Sandler has kind of been like that for the past few years.
I expect it to be a B- to C+ movie.
Yep, 100%.
Where there's going to be funny shit, and then it's just like, hey, we got paid $20 million to make a movie. So, all right, we're going to leave it right there, guys. This is episode number 155. As always, you could text us or leave some stuff over on the YouTube channel when we post this. It's 313-710-9729 is our Texty McTexterson line. If you haven't gotten a ticket for the boot camp and you want to get a ticket for the boot camp, there's a few available, 3 left as of now. You can head on over to bit.ly/July 13 Fro. And if you want to go to Build, it is free to go to Build. Just sign up, and I will be speaking along with a ton of other speakers.
Wednesday, right?
Wednesday. Well, it's Tuesday and Wednesday next week. So
you're only speaking on Wednesday, right?
I'm speaking on Wednesday, but Tuesday I'll end up at the ProGrade Digital booth at some point, and I will stop by bonus time with them on Wednesday as well, so I can deliver some value.
Very cool.
All right, guys. Thank you very much for listening. Jared Polin, FroKnowsPhoto.com. See ya.
Bye.